to applicate Ishvara, implement Ishvar Pranidhan in our daily life, like in our job and relationship?
Well, you still do your job. You still pursue your relationship, your career. Whatever you're doing, you do it the same way. You don't have to change anything. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you must always remember, we all must always remember that whatever we do, there is an X factor and there's a grace factor. A farmer can sow his seeds and everything is in order, water them, put the right fertilizers and everything. Yet there is an external factor that is rains.
Yes.
If it rains in the right time, the harvest is good. If it rains in the wrong time, there may not be any harvest. So that X factor is grace. Now, one who is dedicated to Ishvara, one who is dedicated to this concept of Ishwar Pranidhan, he is always focusing on that X factor while doing all his work, all his job, all his task. That X factor is always in his mind, in his heart. He never forgets that.
Is it a matter of being accustomed to it as a habit, or it just comes naturally?
It is both. I was reading and I actually shared it on, I think on Twitter this morning. There's an old story about 2002, I think, that one leopard, a baby leopard, was separated from his mother.
Yeah.
And then the forest officer, he took this baby leopard because he was in bad shape and very baby still. What do you call it? Cub? C-U-B? Cub?
Yeah, cub.
I don't know. So he takes it to his shed. They have their shed where they tend for these wild animals. And there, without his knowledge, one cow was feeding him, feeding this cub with milk.
Yeah.
And when this cub is already big enough, and according to the law of that regulation of this forest department, they have to bring back the leopard to the jungle and free them. So even having freed him, the leopard would come every night to feed on this cow. And the dogs,
so sweet.
the dogs who were guarding the shed, they were barking all the time. And the forest officer and all the staff there, they didn't know why the dogs were barking. Because they go out, there's nothing. But then they found out that these dogs were hiding away from the shed, from the cow shed. So then they found out that this leopard was a baby and is big now, still coming there every night to feed on this, to get the milk. Now this was news, and it was big news in 2002. But I was contemplating on it. I was meditating upon this story. And I was reading there somebody's comment also, one of the forestry department officer there, that if you are in your early ages and you're still very young, if your instincts can be redirected, then you can change.
So everything is possible if we start from the very young age.
For a leopard, the cow is a prey. They're supposed to feed on the cow. They're supposed to eat the cow. Yeah, but it's totally different story now. Both of them are living together every night like a mother and a son.
This is like the story of the Lion King.
But this is real life. This is real life. Yeah, Lion King could be, inspired by such stories. So that means that even though you are born with the wrong tendencies, with vikar, not with samskar, not with good tendency, but with wrong tendencies, you can still change totally.
But it has to start from early age.
From early age, or you consider yourself to be in early age. When you go and meet a guru, then, when I met my guru, I consider myself 1 year old when I met him.
That is true. It's like you're not born yet, you know.
Exactly. So every time I would be, questioning something, not question, but questioning something, and I would start thinking, but I'm a baby. I'm here to learn. I'm not to question my master.
I see.
To ask
What
is
is that?
something else. Yeah, but to question is something else. We have
Yeah.
discussed on that. Yeah.
Yes, there are
It's not a matter of not
two different
asking.
things.
Yeah, two different things.
Yeah. So, you were mentioning that, but then another thing is there's this generational trauma, right? Generational trauma that a lot of us now is like facing. Either it's a nation, or either it's a race. But if you were saying that if we start from very early age, and then the formation starts at an early age, so those what do you call generational trauma is actually, it doesn't need to be passed down, is it?
No, it doesn't have to be passed down. Even if it is passed down, still it can be changed. There's a hope to change everything, to transform.
Education, that means it's a very important aspect in this.
Education, not only education in the school, education at home, education from the society. So yes.
So now in the whole world is having this protest, not protest, but actually peaceful, what do you call, protest against or anti-racism. And racism starts from this, what do you call, generational seeds, right? And then passed down or not.
The problem is like this. Anything you put ism behind it, it becomes a dirty word. Anything.
Okay.
You put ism behind it, it's a dirty word. I cannot forget, I cannot remember it now, but there is a whole science about race. It's eugenics or what, something like that, There's a science about race.
Yeah.
So race is not a fiction. Race is the reality.
Yeah.
There's a science. People are pursuing that science. People want to know what has happened to us, So race is nothing wrong with race.
Yeah, nothing wrong with race. Is nothing
wrong. When I first started writing my books, and when I was asked to write my synopsis, I wrote there Keturunan India, Keturunan Sindh.
So
descendant from Sindh.
Yeah.
From Sindhi parents. And at that time, you'll remember it in 1970s, 80s, 90s, until now also, a lot of people would like to hide it. Oh, we are all Indonesian. Yes, I'm Indonesian. Satu Nusa, Satu Bangsa, I'm Indonesian. But I come from this background.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
And anyways, that's how the human beings are made up.
Exactly. But when you put ism behind it, it becomes very dirty word.
So everything with ism is a dirty word.
It's a dirty word, I was reading somewhere. Look at the Africans who went to America as slaves,
Yeah.
Now, just because they want to rebel against something, they are adopting, right or wrong, they are adopting different things which are not beneficial. The number of crimes and all that, we don't have to be racist, but we have to first of all make the African American there understand it is all right to be black.
Of course.
It is all right. You don't have to compete with anybody. And you don't have to promote yourself. Hey, I am black. I must be considered as same with you. No, why? Why should you be considered as same? You may have got better qualities than the whites.
That's true. Yeah.
And some whites may have better qualities than the blacks.
Yeah.
So everything should be measured by the merits, not because of the skin. So let's not try to make a big issue. This is what is happening in America right now. It has nothing to do with black and white. It is something to do with vikar, the wrong tendencies that we have carried forward until this age. And
that applies to all race.
All race, whether you're white, whether you're black, not all the people who are robbing your Rolex watches being taken from the galleries and all that. Not all of them are black. I'm given to understand.
Yeah, because this is not now. It's not only happening in the U.S., but it's happening all around, almost in Europe. In Europe also,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, the problem is about perception. The problem is also when we start to, what do you call, put ism with things.
Buddhism, yes.
But then again, everything starts from injustice. Everything starts from injustice,
Exactly.
and if I
Issue. That is the issue.
yes, yeah. So it's not about colors, but it's about injustice,
About injustice, yes.
and also not about injustice. If we put it back again, further again, injustice starts from greed.
From greed, from a wrong type of education, where the
Yes.
whole education is geared to cultivate greed, not to curb greed, but to cultivate it. I must have this, I must have that. Right now, you can have anything. For
That's
3
it.
months, you are locked down, you are at home, whatever you have, nothing can be used. Just for 3 months. And look at the economy of the entire world going down the drain. You know, I used to talk to my father. I used to ask him, for 5 years, he could not go back to Sindh. He was stuck in Solo. So I wanted to find out, when I grew up, I wanted to find out what happened during those 5 years. Was he doing business? Was he doing something? He said, yes, we were doing business. We did different kind of business because there was no import, nothing would be imported. So different kind of business. They started selling this hand-woven fabric, and dye them at home, color them at home. And they became more creative. They became more creative. And when after the war, he said, I had enough money to bring back to Sindh with the intention that I'll not go back to Indonesia. I'll settle in Sindh. But when he saw Sindh, the situation was different. India was already a partition. He came back running back to Indonesia. He didn't like what was happening there, But in those 5 years, they made money, and everybody made money. Nobody was really hungry, I wanted to find out what happened to the Indonesian, the local Indonesian, because he was still having British passport that time.
Yeah.
So he said, no, everybody was okay, all right. We just had to change our lifestyle. But right now, within 3 months, you can see the tragedy, the economic tragedy.
Because we're used to something that is to do with what do you call consumerism.
Ism. That is again ism, because ism.
Okay.
It is because of that. Because of that. If we are just consuming things, you can consume only what you need.
Yes.
But when you add ism, then you can have more than what you need.
Whoever invented the word ism